We are desperate for a sliver of light in the darkness we dwell in. And I think we have a little bit. It's electoral, and it has to do with the fact that Republicans are retiring from the House of Representatives at a startling clip. And according to CNN's Harry Enten, that might be a good sign that these midterms will treat the Democrats well. Take a look.
House retirements at this point, the 2025-2026 cycle. Look at that. 27. The average is just 16 at this point in a cycle. And this, I went back even further. It is the highest number this century, John. How does it break down by party? What does it look most like? Okay, House retirements at this point. You know what it looks most like? It looks most like this point in 2017, 2018 cycle. In 2017, at this point, there were 18 Republicans who said adios amigos. At this point, it's 17. Democrats, 8. Democrats, 10. Is 2017 just a one-off, or is it part of a larger pattern? Well, take a look at every midterm election cycle since 2006. The party with fewer House retirements at this point went on to win the U.S. House of Representatives 7 out of 9 times. That's a pretty good number for Democrats because they have fewer retirements so far than Republicans by a vast margin. We'll have to wait and see if history holds. But if it does, 2 thumbs up for the Democrats.
He's such an interesting person. But anyway, the facts are 2 thumbs up. Adios, amigos. The way that he expresses himself is so strange.
Best.
Exactly. But look, it makes sense, you know? If a bunch of your members are retiring, it's not like it's magic that that's correlated to doing well. Like maybe that's why they're retiring in the first place. And so the polling already doesn't look good for the Republicans. The economy is not doing well, and it's probably going to be doing far worse. The country is racked by utter chaos. This does not feel in a lot of different ways what people voted for in 2024. And so it could be a bad midterm cycle for the Republicans. He compared it there to how 2018 was looking. And as someone who covered the 2018 cycle, it's difficult to even put myself in that place again of how positive that was, that we had all these great new representatives and you had like AOC winning her primary and everything. But it is kind of looking that way. I mean, you have people like Representative Michael McCall, Texas Republican. He's retiring after 11 terms in office. Chip Roy is leaving to run for Attorney General of Texas, which is its own problem for Texas, but at least he won't be in the House anymore. So that's something. And we have a little bit of other good news on polling. But Luke, I wanted to get your thoughts, at least at this point, how you're feeling about the midterms and whether you think this might be a good sign.
Well, first of all, just to double down on my previous statements, I would go to war for Harry Enten. I just want you to know that. I love him a lot. But secondarily, I do love this. We're so desperate for good news. We're like, let's look at the retirement ratio in different years. This could be good. Now, I do think there are some compounding good signs for the midterms, which I don't know, is good. It is really good. I am a little annoyed that it's even a question mark. Like all the polling shows and all of the conventional wisdom about how elections go after a president, especially if they're unpopular, is in office. And Trump has just done so many unpopular things in a row based on polling, not just my feelings. And so you would imagine that the question would just be, how bad will Democrats thump Republicans in the midterms? But even from the polling I'm looking at, it's not to that level yet. It's not clear landslide. And in my mind, a victory would be real House Senate power that could rein in Trump.
Yeah.
And maybe we get that. And maybe this sign and others are pushing us in that direction. So I'll take it, John. But it is funny. We're definitely reading a tea leaf within a tea leaf.
Exactly. It's like we're like trying to arrange it in a way that it looks positive. But and I agree, it is positive. There's a lot of this stuff looking forward that is positive. I agree also, not as much as perhaps it should be, but there's still time. There's still 12 months or whatever. And so we'll see. And if they take over the House, if they take over the Senate, then that is significant in a couple of different ways. First of all, for the Senate, like we have to stop him from putting, I don't know, Judge Jeanine Pirro on the Supreme Court or something. Like that is very significant. Although bear in mind, if the Senate is looking really bad for the Republicans before the midterms, it's entirely possible that like Clarence Thomas retires a month out from the election. So just bear that in mind too. But also investigations, the ability to subpoena members of the Trump administration. Not that it'll necessarily lead to any investigations because the DOJ is run by Donald Trump's personal lawyers, but at the very least we'll have hearings where it will look bad. We need that At the very
Yes.
least, we need some transparency. And the other thing I wanted to mention that's potentially good news is polling changes. So we've previously talked about how independents have massively turned against Donald Trump. Gen Z has massively turned against Donald Trump since the election, but he's also doing really bad in among Latino voters. He's apparently lost 20 points of favorability with Latino voters in less than 1 year. His approval specifically on the economy among Latinos has dropped with just 36% of those polled supporting his handling of it. Only 25% of Latino independents gave Trump high marks on the economy, so that is not good. It's mostly the independents, women, and younger Latino voters that are driving this decline. So independents have gone from -6 on Trump in February to -36 in September. Women have dropped from -21 to -37. Young voters from -6 to -33. That's a very significant drop. And Latino men went from +2 to -6. So a little bit. Un poquito for that particular one. So not much there, but among the others, and look, he is negative now. So at least that's something, I suppose. And so that's good. Now, Republicans are pushing back and being like, well, Latinos also don't like Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. And I take that note. And for that reason, I don't think either of them should run for president next time around. I hear what you're saying, Republicans, and we should respect Latinos by not running either of them. But anyway, and that said, other polls show slightly different things, but this is a tracking poll. It's not just one blip. They apparently showed numbers that were much higher for Trump just a year ago. And so I think it's interesting. Really fast thoughts on the polling.
Well, just that I do have this tension of emotions whenever we look at these polls, because it's like, yes, come on over here, yeah. And then they get over here and I'm like, where the hell have you been? What is this? But thank you for being here. Still, I love that you're back. But also, really? You had to see it to believe it. Okay. So that's, and then the second thought, you mentioned investigations. If Democrats do get House and Senate, I want the most punitive, I want the most insane, constant James Comer. I want them on MSNBC every single day talking about how they have the biggest bombshell, and there actually are bombshells to investigate. I want hearings 3 times a day, every single week, all the time, no vacations.
100%.
After what they were doing.
Yeah, actually, we're about to transition into a story that should be one of these investigations. The only thing I want to add before we move on for the Latino voters is they're turning against Trump. So hey, Democrats, give them something. Like we're 1 year out from the midterms, and maybe this is too early, but like I would love to be able to tell you like is there anything that the Democrats collectively are running on? Like, yeah, individual candidates are running on things. Is there anything like a unifying policy, a guiding philosophy? I know it's not a presidential campaign, but you could have something like that. You could all be pushing for Medicare for all or something. Like, give me something.